Guys, she's back. Jaslene's back. This is like an evil sequel.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
We finally got her. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please strap in, get yourself a booster seat and a sippy cup. We're about to go on a ride. Jasleen Singh, 2 months ago, was the absolute 100% undisputed villain of the internet. Akash Singh is a comedian, in quotations. He also, years ago, stood up to the evil villain from Fresh and Fat. His name is Myron. There's a lot of lore here. And he said, my girl is the best. You're crazy for not wanting to date your own race. And let me tell you, Myron Gaines is a bad guy. Duh. But if the internet is siding with him, then you have done something wrong. Because Myron Gaines clapped back and said, what about you and your girl? And it turns out he was hiding his girl just like Drake was hiding his kid from Pusha T. Lore. Anyway, she's back and she has humiliated her husband to the point that he has fell off the face of this earth. I realized that he wasn't even on the Flagrant podcast for a lot of like the last 2 months. Apparently he's been touring, so that's a thing. And you know what? I've been waiting to see her podcast because she had one called the Main Character Podcast with another brown girl who she said that that person's husband was hot. And she commented about his dick size.
What?
She also said many other things that would humiliate most normal men, but Akash finds it funny and she thinks it's funny. She did some damage control on the Flagrant 2 podcast later on, claiming that everything she said was just hyperbolic and she was joking, and why can't she joke if her husband jokes? To which I say her husband is a comedian, she is a bona fide shopping person. But it's been some time and she's finally done a podcast, except it's not her own because there's some drama and some tea there. But she's done a podcast with another guy who kind of looks like Akash Singh's nephew fused with a homeless person. So it's very interesting, but I wanted to break down the whole podcast with you. I sat through 1 whole hour and I didn't blow my brains out, so
next time, baby.
Let's take a look at it, guys. By the way, we're on 666,000 subscribers. That's a bad number. Can you please subscribe so we can get out that? I don't really want that number. I just ooh, okay. By the way, this guy, I have no idea who he is, but this man glazed her like a donut. Honestly, he's like Krispy Kreme glazed her the whole episode. You would think that he wanted to like bang her, but I think he doesn't. I think it's actually, he wants to be her, which is somehow worse. So much lore in so little time, guys. Let's take a look at Jasleen Singh, the internet's wife.
Let's break the internet. Today, I have with me...
By the way, if you take a shot for every time this guy smiles, you will actually die such a hard death that you'd probably be born again, like in like prehistoric era or something. I don't think this guy has like another facial expression. He just adopted smiling. And it's, you know, it's nice to smile, but not after, like, you know, you do get psychotic if it's after every single word, you know what I mean? So maybe if not to smile 100% of time, sir, maybe try to not to smile. Thanks.
I feel like it doesn't really need an intro. I have with me the Jasleen Singh.
Thank you so much.
He seems to think that people know him. I wouldn't be able to tell him out of a lineup of 2 people. I'll be honest with you. I know that he has broccoli hair. That's tough. And yeah, he looks like he's 100% flexing to his dentist with that smile. He annoys me, and not many people do. So that's a real like flex there, buddy. I actually don't like him more than her somehow. But just for a second, I want to go back to this whole thing with Jasleen and Akash. People were mad at the fact that Akash Singh didn't disclose the person that he had been dating. It's his private life, right? I get that. But the problem is that Akash Singh does stand-up comedy that primarily is based off of relationships. And if you've only had relationship, you can't really say that you're like an expert about talking about women or talking about relationships. So it makes it a bit hypocritical in that sense. And the guy who called him out, Myron Gaines, was saying that he has his own lifestyle and he would never date his own race. And I personally find that super idiotic. But the only thing I find worse than that is someone being hypocritical and then lying about it. So in a very odd position, the internet was based with, do I side with Myron from Fresh and Fat, or do I side with the guy who looks like a brown chipmunk? And they took Myron Gaines' position. And I had to too, even though I'm, just my brown brother over there. But it's hard to see this because it just looked like a guy who was getting walked over. He proposed to her twice and she looked at the ring and not him. How many times do you have to propose to your wife? It seems like he's whipped. And I don't know if that's the kind of guy that I want telling me about relationships. That's the guy I want when I feel bad about my relationship and then I look at him and I'm like, at least it's not that. That's what I'd like to use him for. So with that being said, I mean, this is where she came from. Then she started her own podcast thinking that she could be the main character. Everyone told her very quickly that she's not.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And now she calls everyone haters and misogynists. It's about right. I mean, that's about what you do when you have no self-awareness at all. And so, yeah, this man came out defending her. Broccoli head. Thought he was like the super Indian. And this is where we are 2 months later, trying to do damage control with a guy who has 1,000 subscribers and 500 videos, something that I'm going to bring out throughout this whole video.
I am so excited to have you, and I probably shouldn't say this, but
maybe it's because I'm just like manic depressive, but I hate that they're smiling 100% of the time and they don't know each other. That's weird, man. Like, I don't, just like tone it down just a little bit.
I rarely, in a long time, I haven't been excited to do a pod, which is why I haven't potted.
Yeah.
He hasn't potted, guys. He hasn't potted. He's Harry Potter over here. He hasn't fucking potted. All right. Does anybody give a fuck?
So when you hit me, I was like, yo, let's do this. I want to get to know like you.
Sometimes I get so painfully nostalgic for college. So for context, I went to college from 2011 to 2016. I was popping my pussy and living my best life in these white boy frat houses. And I had a roster of guys that I would rotate through.
Stop it. Get some help.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is kind of what the internet knows about her. And then she will go on to say that this is not who she really is. And it's kind of like, if that's all you put out and that's all that someone knows about you, how would they be able to think anything else? There is no video disproving any of this. There's no video where she's a humanitarian or anything else. The only basis of which anybody knows her is she has a husband who seems like he doesn't know what he's doing. And then she willingly, openly yells at him, seems like she hates him, and then talks about nostalgia dick, which like ghost dick or something. That's crazy. A roster of guys is just not. I don't know if somebody's husband wants to hear that, but I guess he does. So I think I know what she's told me. But let's see. Maybe she's got something better to say.
In my friends and family, I'm like very fiery. I do love shopping.
Unprovoked, by the way. This is like second time they're doing damage control and she is like, finally, I'm gonna get this right. And action. I love to shop. I hope my husband dies. All right, cut. I'm gonna have to cut that last part out. I'll just keep the shopping, I guess.
I love
Popping my pussy.
just very like smiley. I think I have like a very warm energy, but I'm a Leo sun and moon. So I don't know if you know about all the risings. My Cancer is rising. So I feel like when I talk to people, I try very hard to make them feel comfortable.
All right. I don't know much about like sun and moon rising stuff. I'm a Leo, just that one. So if anybody tells me what that's supposed to mean, can you put that in the comments? She also then said she was empathetic, and I laughed very hard the first time I heard that, because I feel like a lot of this is like she's just forgetting about her husband as usual.
Right? Like I like to say that people can get a good glimpse of who I am through this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We can get a good glimpse of him. Can anybody tell me anything about this man? Broccoli. Just anything.
But realistically, you probably are getting like 60% of who I really am.
Yeah.
Because you don't want the full 100. Like,
Nobody wants even 10% of that. I'm just still thinking about the fact that she said she's empathetic, and that feels like a big Delulu head situation here. Your podcast is called Main Character Podcast, and it seems like everything she says is intrusive thoughts. I've never heard someone ever comment about their friend's husband in a sexual way to like while that person was there. And also, by the way, her husband was there too. That's kind of really disrespectful to everyone involved in the situation. I don't know how you could find that empathetic. So I went through the trouble of watching those podcasts. I don't know where the empathy was, but if you find it, let me know.
The audience isn't stupid. And I feel like when they see, like my friend told me this, she said you can feel someone's energy through their content, if they're genuine or not. So I just always, first and foremost, was like, I just want to be genuinely myself.
There's so many times that these two fools make points against what they're actually thinking they mean. She was talking about how she needs to be herself authentically, and then goes on to say she's just hyperboleing and lying. But everybody can sense authenticity, like she said. I'm pretty sure if 99% guys and girls come together instead of fighting the normal war that they do to hate on you, it must mean everyone is seeing the same thing. And if everybody is seeing the same thing and you're not, do you not think there's a chance that you're the one that's a bit delusional?
I try to be, sensitive, but I think sometimes I've maybe missed the mark. Yeah.
Right.
It's like the Ellen DeGeneres thing. Like, you're kind of a piece of shit.
If I ever get into a scandal,
What do you mean by that?
which I'm not going to, I hope, but like if I ever do, they're like, what happened, Subi? What did you do? I'm just gonna like put my glasses on and say, hey, what about Diddy? And then just run. And then people will be like, yeah, what about Diddy? Where is he? What happened to him lately? It's just going to be like that. I've never heard this deflection. This is so stupid.
Myron does what he does, and then the incels do what they do.
Okay, so you can't call people empathetic. You guys can't call yourselves empathetic if you're going to start calling other people assholes like carte blanche, right? You're just saying things without any basis. She doesn't know Ellen. She was not famous enough to ever be invited onto Ellen. Neither was her husband, who's a comedian. And this dude is calling random people on the internet incels. Involuntary celebration. I'm pretty sure that's what that means. Like he just starts like that every now and again. That's apparently who he thinks is doing that. Do you know who else hates incels? Myron, the guy who said this shit. That dude hates them more than this guy. Myron Gaines is the same dude who went on Jubilee and said the words, I want to run concentration camps for fat people.
I mean, if I was president, hell, I'd put all of them in a fat concentration camps.
You guys are speaking the same language and thinking you're different. I don't know who these incels are. I think they're just normal people who can see a situation for what it is.
How did you feel?
Like, you're taking the intention of this video in the complete wrong way. And
what was popping my pussy for a roster of guys supposed to mean? That's some Gen Z shit, isn't it? She's older than me, but this is some Gen Z shit, isn't it? I say that and the Gen Z kids they start counting and shit like that.
I mean, this obviously goes without saying, but the misogyny was like really crazy. It was bizarre to me because I'm like, my husband can go on stage.
So here it is. Here is excuse number one. I should have brought down a whole thing and wrote down like the excuses. In fact, maybe I should. Just give me 1 second, actually. All right, might not have spelt that correctly.
Misogyny.
But I know what the word means. Hey, can we talk about that? Misogyny? I am pretty sure at least half of those people were women, calling her out, saying it was pretty bad look for like women in general. In fact, she goes on the offense about women, saying they're actually just jealous or haters as well. So it's not just misogyny.
And literally has a joke in his special about like getting a hooker isn't like cheating, it's just outsourcing, which I really don't care. Like, I think it's a funny joke, but it's like, if I say something that's equally, raunchy, like, then I'm a whore or all these things.
So, I mean, I don't agree. I would hate for someone to call her that, firstly, but there's a big difference between your husband and you, and the fact that your husband is up on stage with a microphone performing to people who pay money for him to, make them laugh, and you're saying things with vigor and then never saying them again. And I just gotta say, if you're trying to be funny and raunchy, you also hit on your friend's husband on the podcast. Was that a joke? Because you kept doing it. Like, I'm just saying, okay.
When it's like, but the reality is what the reality is. It's like, I was a virgin when I met my husband. We lost our virginity to each other. And I never made that a part of my identity. I only shared that because I share my life story, because I'm an oversharer. Y'all made it a part of my identity and then used it against me. Moreover, what people don't realize, like, I don't even want to say his fucking name, but this fucking loser who's
Myron Gaines, that's his name.
He was on the Flagrant podcast like 5 fucking years ago. My husband just humbled the shit out of him and basically embarrassed him because he was like, I think what you do is corny. And I think every year he would try to like bait them by being like, oh, you guys are pussies or you guys are this. But then every year that clip would circulate. And I think deep down it really embarrassed and humiliated and emasculated him.
I don't know if she's talking about her husband or who it emasculated. The fact that I can't fully figure out who she's talking about like 90% of the time really affects me. But I want to take a look at that clip. Let's see if we can find it.
Those are your roots. Those women are reflected in your roots. So if you're saying, hey, I don't generally date them, but I have more space for it, even though I still think it's a little corny between, that's just my thing.
Like Akash is the extreme. Like Akash only dates brown.
Oh, okay.
Akash has been with one girl in his life.
That seemed okay. So the whole point of this beautiful podcast between 4 very smart people, it's Einstein IQ in that room, is that one group says that there is no way they're dating their own race, which I personally find very stupid.
You're not just wrong, you're stupid.
The other group is saying, I only date my race, which I find very stupid.
And you're ugly, just like your mum.
Because I don't know why this has to be a point of contention, that you could just like a person and not really fixate on their skin color or culture they're in. I don't have that issue. I'm not in a box here where it's like, ooh, but you're Chinese. Like, it's not really like a thing that feels like kind of racist. If I'm being honest, I've never had that issue. I don't know why these people do. But at the time, Akash was like the guy who was like trying to humble them, and the internet was like, yeah, you go. Because, I mean, nobody likes fresh and fit. But then now, if you look at the comments, everyone's like, man, Myron called it. Because this dude was hiding a secret. And the secret was the person he was dating is not someone that you'd like really go out on a limb and be like, this is my girl. We definitely have a great relationship. It's equal. Because it feels like every conversation Akash has ever had has been skewed towards, I'm doing what she wants in life because there is no way she's going to stay with me if I don't.
Who's his wife?
That's my wife. That's an
So
Indian
this
woman.
is
that was
like
important
loyal
to me.
through and through.
Okay.
And I understand it's not as important for y'all, but as an Indian, there's not a lot of us who are famous. So whether you like it or not, people are looking at you as a role model. You guys have established yourselves as role models. From simps to pimps, which is another motto I find kind of corny, but I looked into what you guys are about. And a lot of the shit is just childish, which is fine if you want to be funny. We just talked about how doctors ain't shit for 45 minutes. We are not in any way life coaching. We are not in any way trying to help men outside of, hey, come have a laugh for a couple hours.
So I wouldn't say that Myron got humbled and completely destroyed, but okay. Let's just keep going.
So I think he had like a score to settle, but instead of like doing it like a man, he did it like a little bitch and like.
All right, so I'm gonna stop you there and just again bring up the misogyny here.
Misogyny.
Or misandry and therein and everything else that we label, which I would just like to say is just calling people names. I mean, I don't get it. There's no such thing as empathy if you're not willing to understand the other side. And clearly she's not. She's just calling him names and also calling someone a little bitch.
Like a little bitch.
If they're a guy, that seems pretty misogynistic. It seems like you're hurting yourself, but okay.
And my therapist was saying the same thing. She was like, well, thank God it's not fucking true. And she said to me, like, not one part of me, because she was the one that also encouraged me to do social media.
She was like, that's 10 more sessions. Keep going. Yes. Oh my God. What did they say? Oh no, they called you a bitch. Oh no, you keep going. She bought a house with that money. Oh man, what a smart therapist. I bet this girl thinks that the therapist is her friend.
She was like, not one part of me doesn't think that you can't handle this. Like, I know you, and yeah, it's fucking hard, but like, I'm not worried about you being able to handle this.
She took her therapist's advice. That was like, you know what I mean? Her husband was like, you do it, and she ignored, it was just white noise, brown noise. And then she listened to the therapist and was like, yes, hell yes, Shelly, I'm doing it.
And like, I will just be scrolling on Instagram and just see someone, like I saw the other day, this girl was like, oh, trying to become a model or something, or trying to get scouted as a model. And the first comment is like, yeah, but your face card isn't there. And it's like, who in their mind thinks like, this is what I want to write, like to ruin this person's day?
All right. I agree. I think that the comments on Instagram are absolutely devastating sometimes and is disgusting. But I also think that's confirmation bias. If someone was trying to be a model and they weren't doing anything wrong, I don't know who the hell would be saying that. And yeah, there's some really weird people and stupid people, but I think if you read down, you'd probably find a lot more people who are encouraging, because I truly do believe, I'm a little optimistic in that way, that people are not inherently evil. So I think what you're doing is just trying for confirmation bias, which is actually a thing on social media where you actually see negative stuff and then you look for it and you're like, yes. And it makes you actually feel a little bit better, but in the long term, a lot worse. And it's very toxic. There's a lot of things that you should actually unpack with your therapist about.
Taking the comment section as objectivity, because I'm like, I can't trust it anymore. It's like, it's not legitimate, you know?
Yeah, so she then says that she can't take comments objectively because they are subjective. Duh. But I will say, if you post a video and 95% of comments are good, that's more or less an objective viewpoint, since 95% of people share that. You know, I'm just saying, if everyone thinks the same thing, and only Broccoli Head over here thinks otherwise, I don't know if he's the one that's right. I think if you thought that, you'd be thinking subjectively and not objectively. You know what I mean? But okay, that's, you know, comments is subjective. Write that down, I guess. That's a hell of an excuse.
The only people to really defend us. And it like almost made me tear up, because it just meant so much to see a brown
broccoli head
guy like defending me.
So many things in our society have gotten to the point of like normalization of like really foul things.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, I could go back 5 minutes ago, name calling people
like a little bitch
and saying all these mean things to them. That's pretty bad. That's pretty toxic, if you ask me. So
my guy male perspective was like, okay, Akash checked you publicly to your face as a man on a podcast. You spun the block 5 years later and went through his wife.
Oh, I thought he was talking about her. I was like, when did he ever check her? He has never said anything in retaliation to any of the things that she's done. He loves his wife and she lives with him.
If you really felt strongly in that moment when he said it to your face, you should have said something.
So I guess they're bringing back that topic 5 years ago, and I have to defend the almighty Myron Gaines again by saying that this dude didn't actually say anything to his face. He said that it was a bit corny that they did simps to pumps, and I find that hilarious if people actually believe it. But yes, I don't think anybody won or lost that argument. I think it was just two people disagreeing, and both of them were somehow wrong.
But instead, you waited and went through his girl to do it.
Don't say went through his girl. I don't think you understand what that implies, sir.
I don't think it means what you think it means.
And I don't know where most people are from. Where I'm from, no matter if I have real issues with somebody, we would call that person pussy.
No. And then what would happen? Would you tickle his balls? What would happen, bro? Damn. That's crazy. You would say all that to him? You call him a pussy? Those are fighting words back in my...
110%. And also because you're a real man, and I'm sure your girl can, you know, corroborate that.
Okay, so we got her calling Broccoli Head a real man, and then using the word corroborate, something you use almost exclusively when the police ask if you can corroborate a story because it's something they inherently don't believe. That's a funny choice of words, isn't it?
If you're a nobody who made like 30 fucking videos shitting on me and then made this video that popped off hating on me, like, is that the reason you want to go viral, is like the video hating on me? Okay, if that's fine, but like that's not the reason like I would want to go viral. I went viral being myself, you dumb fucking bitch. Like,
ooh, okay, so I was like 90% agreeing with her until the last line where she went ape shit as usual.
You went full
ape shit.
man. Never go for
ape shit. But I actually do want to talk about that because I feel like in the commentary space of YouTube and TikTok and everywhere else, we tend to jump on someone's back before having the full information. And I personally, I take a longer time to make videos. I think you guys all know that. It's not like they come out the day off, because a lot of the times I personally have to look at something and be like, is this something I can even really offer an opinion on? It might be something that will get views, but I might be wrong, and I don't know if I want to put that information out in the world. I also never really personally wanted to shit talk someone just for the sake of it. I think that's pretty lame, to be honest. So I actually agree with her. Like, I would hate it if people tried to say bad things about you only because it would get them to a higher place of like social opinion. I don't like the social climbing aspect of YouTube and social media in general, to be honest. But then she had to use, you know, some beautiful language after. She was like, you fucking piece of shit. That really drove home the argument there. Seems like every time she tries to be empathetic, which she said she was, she follows it up with a dose of, you fucking whore, like just something like that. It's kind of crazy.
Why do you think they don't like you? Like all the brown girls, like,
because she exists, son. You know, brown girls known for being like women of culture and integrity, faith, strength, everything else. And then you get, I can't wait to fuck guys. Your husband's dick is so big. It doesn't really represent a generation, does it? I can understand why people wouldn't be so happy. Imagine if the only person that people had of us like being brown people was Akash. Imagine if that's how they thought every brown guy was. It would be over. It's already over for me, but it would be overer for me.
I have a theory, right? But
what's your theory?
I think a lot of it steeps in jealousy. Yeah. I think like, listen, like, it's not a secret. Mm-hmm. You on TikTok popping bags. Mm-hmm. You married to Akash, right?
Sounds like a punishment, but go on.
Like, I think a lot of them want to be in your spot. I think I think most hate stems from jealousy. Most people's hate has nothing to do with the person. Mm-hmm. It really results in, yo, I want what you have. It's like people who shit on me having a pod. It's like, yo, like, ain't nothing stopping you from.
Plato over here is philosophizing over a very good point. It must be jealousy. But okay, sure, it's all jealousy. All of us want that Birkin bag. Then he goes on to say everyone's jealous of him. So I had to bring up the fact that he has made 500 videos and has 1.2 thousand subscribers, which means, and I did the math on this, basically 2.1 subscribers every time he puts up a video. That's solid numbers, chap. I don't know if anybody's gonna be mad jealous for those numbers, but you know, you got to 1,000 and that's fantastic. But he then says how easy it is to start a podcast by literally saying all you need are cameras and mics. And then he will go on to say how hard it is to start a podcast by saying, if everyone could do it, why didn't they?
I'm glad you said it, because I feel like if I say it, it's gonna...
Say it.
It's gonna make
Just say it. Just say it.
The meth kicked in, I guess. He just starts screaming. Just say it. Say it! Like, man, he's having like war flashbacks or something. My boy really went hard in the paint today. As soon as they started bringing him money, his smile got even bigger than the Joker's. He's like the brown Joker, the broccoli Joker.
I'm the Joker, baby.
Roccolini over here is back at it.
There's nothing I've done to you personally except be myself. And so I won't even go so far as to say you're jealous of me, but something about me evokes an insecurity that you have of something that you're not doing for yourself. So if I don't have to work a 9 to 5 and I get to go to Pilates and just walk my dog, and I don't have to cook and clean because my husband doesn't expect that or require that or care if I do that.
What do you do then? I'm not even laughing at her. Like, honestly, solid G. I'm like, personally, I'm not even mad at it. If I could be in her position, damn. What, you know what I mean? I'm waking up, I'm buying a Birkin bag, popping tags, my husband's sucking my proverbial dick every day. Why wouldn't you want that life? I'm not even mad at her. I'm mad at him for accepting that. This dude is like, yeah, we're rich, she doesn't have to clean. It doesn't mean that because you have money, you shouldn't do something, motherfucker. You think you're better than people who clean or something? That's crazy. So she doesn't want to cook, she doesn't want to clean, she doesn't want to work, and she thinks people are jealous of her. Unfortunately, that's not always correct. Some people actually love what they do despite how hard it may be. Like, for instance, doctors and neurosurgeons who want to save patients because it gives them a feeling of belonging in the world. Or perhaps maybe artists who starve but willingly do so because they don't want to do anything else with their lives and can't. Maybe even teachers who want to raise the next generation even though they know they get paid like shit and still do it because that is just the love of the game. So I don't know if you can sit here and tell me on your high horse that those people are jealous of you.
Then maybe that bothers you because you do have to work a really toxic corporate job and you wish your life could be easier or something. So me and Akash were broke at one point, sleeping on my friend's couch. We lived not even in New York, in Secaucus. We had to move out of Manhattan because it was too expensive. And we...
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's my real point with this is calling people who work 9 to 5 or calling that a toxic job is just 9 to 5 equals toxic. By the way, if you're working a 9 to 5 job, I appreciate you rather than calling it toxic. You guys are the people that pay us to do the dumb shit that we do. It's not like her Birkin bags are coming out of thin air. You know what I mean? Like, people are paying her husband to perform jokes that maybe they laugh at, I think, and then using his money to buy bags. It's those people who go to work that actually are financing your lifestyle. So they're not toxic, and they do the stuff that honestly I can't do. I don't think she would even last a day doing, so it makes no sense to call that toxic. Also, moving out of Manhattan because it's too expensive. New York is one of the most expensive places in the world. It doesn't really mean much that you're moving out of there, but go on. Go off, queen.
And we had my mom's old Nissan Altima. We had her old furniture, IKEA furniture, like just for years until we could build our money up to move back to the city. And like,
you poor thing. Swedish furniture from IKEA? Gyllenhaal furniture?
Gyllenhaal?
What the hell? She was probably looking at the furniture being like, look, they spelt the words wrong. What the fuck is that shit? She probably had no idea.
Slept on my friend's couch and I just prayed to God so hard.
Oh, you're gonna love this part, guys. She starts praying. She's like, we're broke. Dear God. And instead of like hoping like, you know, for like the strength to carry on or persevere or saying like maybe you're gonna things will get better for us, she's praying for her husband to get some fucking money so she can get out of this situation.
I don't know what's in store for my future, but like, please God, like for him as a man, like, and you'll be able to speak to this more, but like I think men need to feel like they can provide and they can achieve, you know, their dream to be in a functioning relationship. That
is right. All men dream of that. Instead of trying to talk to my girlfriend, I have to actually pray to God because that seems like an easier route than having a conversation with her psycho ass. Go on.
So I was just praying to God like super hard every single day.
This is again, she's like super saying. She's super Saiyan praying to God. She's like going down. She's like, dear God. And like, you know, like her hair is going up and shit. Sparks are coming out. God's like, whoa, that's some really intense praying. And then imagine if she got through to God and God's like, anything you want. Can you please make my husband work harder? This dude, he's so dumb. That's what she prayed for.
And I was in like a toxic corporate environment as well. And I would get on the train and I would see these girls in like Burberry trench coats, big diamond ring, Louboutins, like, please God, like I just want to be like, that symbolized success to me. But I wanted to have success because I also wanted our relationship to work, because I wanted him to feel like.
Because if we didn't have success, our relationship failed. If Akash didn't get me that Louis Vuitton diamond ring, Burberry trench coat ring on my finger and slash body, then I was going to kick his ass to the couch. Like I said, we were staying at my friend's house. He didn't have a friend. That dude was homeless pretty much. So if anything, she saved his life pretty much so he could buy it back for her. By the way, did you guys clock that ring on her finger? That is some really, that ring screams, I love my husband's wallet. Do I have to talk about it? Do I have to talk about the fact that material wealth does not equal success? Do we have to get into this dumb conversation that maybe having kids, raising a family, being a good parent, being a good sibling, son, daughter is undeniable success? Being a good valued member of the community, being in high regard to other people, because you can't actually buy that. You cannot buy respect, believe it or not. Ask Diddy. Maybe tried that. And money's cool. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not one of those people who's like, you don't need money. You absolutely do. But having a Burberry trench coat doesn't make you successful.
You can tell a man's making checks by the Burberry scarf that's straight to my neck.
I wanted him to feel like he was the man and he could provide. And so, yeah.
Look at the things I've actually had to go through with my partner to be in the spot to pop Birkins on you.
Yeah.
Okay, at this point, this guy broccolini weenie over here goes crazy, and he starts putting himself in place of Jasleen, which is something I've never heard another man do. I don't know like what went through his head, but he's now imagining himself not as Akash, but as Akash's wife because of the money. And now he's like, if I had your money that your husband was spending on me, this is what I would do. Weird situation, Broccoli Head.
I'm gonna always come back to the pop and burgers, yo, because I be sitting around thinking like, yo, if I was Jasleen, I would be.
That's a wild statement just to say, and then to not pause and think about just the words. If I was Jasleen, as a man with a broccoli head sitting across you, knowing that she has a husband that looks kind of like you if he got hit by Chernobyl. What?
God knew to make me have to struggle for my shit, because God knew if he gave me all of that shit at 25, 26.
God knew to make me struggle is hilarious. He's self-aware enough to be like, my podcast is fucking failing. Oh, God knew about that shit. Because if he gave me money, he knew I'd be like you.
I would go on TikTok every day, just grab a rack and just count it in front of me like, oh, y'all mad? Y'all mad? Yo.
I told you, there's nothing behind that head. It's smooth brain over there. He said he would count a rack. He would count $1,000 and then say, are you all mad? Does anybody here not have $1,000? You might not. You might be working for it. It might be in your next paycheck, perhaps. I don't think that's an unattainable amount of money. Like, it just seems stupid if you would take it out and count it. But okay, so he's a flexer on the gram, and he imagined himself being in her shoes if he had Akash's money. What an
odd thing to say.
Really enjoy shopping. I do really enjoy luxury things. I'm very hyper feminine, like, if you can't tell. Like, so I was just like, oh, maybe they'll enjoy seeing this part of my life. Yeah.
Right? Like, I want to see like fly shit, like just seeing like Jay-Z at the.
Okay, so now they're actually justifying. Jasleen, the justifier, is justifying her expenditure and being like, well, everybody loves seeing Birkin bags, and I just want to give them what they can't do with their shitty 9-to-5s. And then Broccoli Head chimes in and he's like, yes, I'd like to see more people flexing. And then he names one of our brown people, Jay-Z.
Jay-Z at the courtside of like Golden State games.
Yeah.
That shit is important to see. Like, I want to see what it looks like when we have made it, right?
All right. Calling Jay-Z part of our group is weird. You might as well throw in Kanye West and all the other people you think is Indian. But also, not that this matters. Jay-Z's from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He wouldn't go to Golden State games since he owns part of the Nets. But cool.
Mm-hmm.
What made you, or what did you identify to make you think that this guy could be all the things that I'm sure he said?
Oh, at this point, they start talking about why she was into Akash Singh. And I just want you to remember that's what he asked. I need you to remember he asked what made you fall for Akash? Just keep that in your head and listen to the answer because it goes on.
It's tough to say. So
That's already a bad start to the question.
for like people that don't know, so again, my sister knew about Akash first. She had heard him on the Brilliant Idiots podcast. You know, they're doing a live podcast of the Brilliant Idiots, and there's like this whole comedy festival, and this guy Akash is doing stand-up. Do you want to go? And I was like, sure, why not? Funny, we got high and then we couldn't find it. We got lost. We got there super.
Again, just please remember us. Why did you fall for Akash? And right now I've heard that her sister knows Akash. She doesn't know him and she got high.
I didn't even know what a podcast was.
Okay, again, not really vital to what you see in him, but she doesn't know what a podcast is.
To go to this movie theater room where Akash was doing stand-up. And I just remember the moment I saw him, I was like, to my sister, I was like, oh my God, Manu, he's so cute. And she was like, oh, really? He's behind us. And we turn around and he happens to be there. And my sister, being like wing woman of the year, she was like, oh, can we get a picture of you?
That'll be Akash's first ever fan picture.
I felt like
I want to be like, you know, not just 100% crazy here. She calls him cute, which is like, I was shocked. Pikachu face. I didn't know about that. I still don't know about that, but that's nice. And then for no reason at all, Broccoli Head, who's been on Akash's side this whole time, said that the picture that she took with him must have been his first picture and screams it out while laughing, as if nobody else has ever wanted to take a picture with him. I don't know how this guy unintentionally roasts people so much. I don't know if he's just a genius at pretending that he's on someone's side, or if he's so dumb he's turned into a genius. This is like one of those case studies that I need to figure out.
I felt like something very special in that moment. His friend and my sister are talking, and then me and him start talking, and he offers me his jacket. I take it, and he gave me his number, and we ended up going on our first date like a week or two later. He came all the way to Philly from New York.
When you're early on in a relationship, it's kind of super important to see if the other person puts in an effort as well. I've been on some dates and things in my life. I figured out who's actually there just to get that free food and who's there not to. And I think it's important because as a guy or as a person in general, you want to feel valued. He went all the way to Philly from New York to see her. Mind you, he's the comedian that people are like, whoa, it's Akaash Singh. This dude has been doing the most since the inception of their relationship. So of course she's going to expect all these things, because at no point has he ever been like, hey, why don't you come to me for once? I don't think there was that moment, so she doesn't expect it to ever be that way.
Because I was finishing up my last year of school.
Oh yes, that last year of school, which he's currently using to apply to Birkin bag.
Quick, and we were just like very in love with each other.
I wrote that down because I actually forgot like what the question was. I still actually, besides her calling him cute for half a second, this is still the same question. Why are you attracted to him? And now she's going into like everything else.
Personally, I was going through a really hard time, like trying to understand myself and having very severe OCD and like symptoms of that, like very bad paranoia, or just, I literally thought like I was schizophrenic at one point, which is like kind of a side note.
Oh, it's a side note, is it? I mean, yeah, you know, because he asked, what did you see in Akash? And she ended up explaining that she's paranoid, schizophrenic, and OCD. That's probably the worst way to answer, what do you like about your partner? I don't know how that really comes into that equation, unless the words start with, I was all of those things, and he saw me for what I am. I'm not really sure where you go from there, but does she have anything else positive to say about this guy?
Yeah, it was such a special, magical time, and I...
To anybody who's actually OCD, paranoid, or has schizophrenia, that's got to be the most shitty thing to hear, right? After saying those things, she was like, it was a beautiful time. I had paranoia, schizophrenia, and all my friends with me were there when I had schizophrenia. I said that twice, didn't I? It's probably because I'm schizophrenic. Crazy.
What's going on with the podcast?
Full honesty time. It makes me sad because with Nahal, we became...
Yes. Okay. Now we figure out the real question, why we were here in the first place. What happened to the main character podcast? You guys became side characters. What the fuck? That's the only thing that shouldn't have happened. What happened to Nahal? That was her name. I did not remember that. Remember, there was 2 of them. Sometimes we forget.
With Nahal, we became friends so quickly, and I have like a lot of respect for her, and like I've met her family and like her husband and her in-laws, so I don't want to say anything shitty about her, and I won't. But I think, like, you know, like the first time we went out to dinner, she pitched the idea of doing a podcast with me. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't expect that.
You guys didn't have a relationship prior to all of this?
No.
Okay.
So we just became friends like pretty quickly. And then she wanted to do the podcast, and I was a little bit unsure, but then I talked to my husband about it. He was like, why not? You've always wanted to try it.
You know, it somehow makes it worse that she didn't even have the idea to be on her own podcast, and that her husband had to talk her into it, and yet she still did it and messed it up and now doesn't do it. I don't know what's worse. Is it worse that she, like, you know, to have the idea and think it's a good idea, or to not have it, be dragged into it, and then turn it into something that fails the other person? At no point should Akash Singh should have been like, yes, podcasting is really something that seems like you could do. I don't know if he just didn't know that maybe the stuff she says is going to backfire like this, but something went wrong. There was an oversight somewhere in this thing.
And we just became friends so quickly in this path of creating Main Character Podcast, which was her idea, which is an amazing name. I think what happened was that we went through controversy so quickly into it that it kind of like put a strain on the friendship, because also like our content was very different in this. Like mine was definitely a lot more raw and unfiltered, and hers was a little bit more polished and more, you know, like not
typical brown.
Nice. Yes, typical brown podcast material. He knows all about that. He's like the oracle of brown people. He just knows everything. This dude is the Morpheus of brown people. He has his hands out. He's like, take the brown pull or the brown pull, because he's a brown oracle. Everything's brown to him. I'm sorry, I forgot what I was saying, but I think he suck. Okay.
I remember her saying, though, in Paris, she was like, my biggest fear is getting canceled. And I remember telling her, I was like, I just want to let you know, like, I know the periphery of Akash's fan base, which is, I will say, more of the podcast fan base. And
okay, yeah, here we go. Let's get into this conversation. It's the other reason that she's got canceled and everything is because the fans are all frat boys or something, right?
I know a lot of people during like our controversy were saying like, oh, it's because of his fans. It's because of his fans. Like his comedy fans are not like that. It's more the podcast fan base that I don't think really resonate with him, because a lot of them are like really racist and right wing.
Racist. Okay, there's so much wrong with what she just said. Let's try and break it down. Firstly, she said that it's his podcast audience. Note that he is a comedian as well as a podcaster, which means that his audience, when he does stand-up comedy, is so small that it gets absolutely pummeled by his audience as a podcaster. I know, you're thinking, why would he have 2 different audiences? It's because it's not really his podcast. It's Andrew Schultz's podcast, a man who has had Donald Trump and other people who can sometimes be right-wing. But I'll tell you what, 2 of the 4 hosts are people of color. I don't know if they're necessarily all right-wing. Don't you think they'd kind of hate to be on, like, to constantly be watching this? Hate his opinions? Do you not think they would have found a different podcast with maybe just one white person, perhaps a Joe Rogan or something? I feel like that's a crazy blanket statement to make on a person's audience, especially that being the audience that 100% funds your lifestyle, because let's be honest, Akash is not making as much of money from that. It would be the podcast that he's in. Also, just as a person, if that was true, wouldn't it be pretty shitty that your husband is doing a job that he hates and has an audience that hates him, and he's still doing it just for the money? Doesn't that feel really sad? Wouldn't you talk him out of it and make him do a job that he loves? Isn't it a toxic work environment? I thought you said that.
Those peripheral fans, like, they might come at us just because we're brown girls being opinionated and they don't like opinionated women.
But she also said that lots of brown girls don't like her content. I'm a brown guy and I don't like her content. I certainly don't side with the the racism. I'm not one of those, so I don't really fit into any of these groups. And I don't think the majority of people do either. I think they're just sane individuals who can see insanity and recognize it.
Your type of podcast is also something that we haven't even seen in the space. Somebody who just studies pods.
Of course, he studies pods because he doesn't make them, because if he made them, he'd probably have more than 1,000 subscribers. But yeah, okay, a pod studier, a philosopher, a podlosopher, a full podifer? I don't...
Akash has interviewed Donald Trump.
What is the point here? He was there when he got interviewed by the... Okay, cool, sure. Okay, he interviewed Trump.
Like you said, he has also interviewed Zoran. He's also interviewed Bernie.
You have to be a little...
Oh, there was no point. He just wanted to say who he interviewed. Got it.
It's strategic when you're interviewing someone like that, because if you just do hardball questions to do a gotcha moment, like
at this point, they start talking about the Trump interview, and I get that this is a very divisive topic. Probably not on my channel, but it doesn't matter. The thing that she says matters more. Whether you're on the right or the left side, I think all you need to know is that people want integrity and honesty, and maybe they're not getting it from certain places, but she goes on to say that if you're interviewing someone that's trying to, that has a big profile and you want them to stay on the podcast, you're not going to ask the hardball questions. You're not really going to ask them stuff that they don't want to answer. You're just going to appease them and sort of be like a kiss ass. So she literally explains that her husband sucks up to people while trying to defend him for not sucking up to her. So that's that.
Like, the person could likely walk out, not give you anything you're looking for. So it's like you kind of have to like be nice, be charming, treat them with respect, because you are interviewing and he doesn't have to do flagrant. You know what I mean? So it's like, I understand the approach that they took.
Yes, transactional is what you call it. He's getting media from the younger audience. That's what he was doing. It's sort of a way of lobbying, campaigning. And Flagrant got definitely more views than they would get if they did another video. The cost of both of that, the opportunity cost, was the integrity of the audience, because they didn't ask the questions that people might have wanted. You just openly admit that they're not really good at this genre. They shouldn't have had that happen. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Which is why I think you should have a podcast. I do think you should have a podcast, right? Because I think a lot of your rhetoric, just meeting you today, having this conversation, a lot of the things that you say in the long form conversation, I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of clarity.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're able to give that level of rhetoric throughout your career, like, you're going to be just fine.
She doesn't have the podcast, sir.
And it's gone.
She literally doesn't have it anymore. If she would have to pick it back up and do the episodes by herself, she would have to talk to herself for an hour. This is not happening. You might have to be on the podcast with her. You two might go in business together. Actually, it seems like he'd be a much better secondary host, because no matter what she says, he would glaze that. If she was like, yeah, you know, my former host, her husband, oh, he's got a big dick, right? Then this guy would be like, yep, no, I agree, 100%. Nothing bigger than that dick.
Because I think a lot of the things that you say, a lot of the things that you stand for make sense.
Yeah.
Like, what is on your foray? What is on your agenda for the next year, 2?
Okay, so now we asked I guess it's the ending of the interview. We're looking towards the future. Is the podcast coming back? And he asks, what is she going to do in the future? Let's see if she says the podcast will come back, because I'm hoping it will.
So I have a bunch of things. Well, just personally, I have a new puppy that's been like dictating my whole life.
Okay.
I have 2 dogs now.
That's all right. So it went from 1 to 2 dogs. He asked what was in the future. She was like, I got 2 dogs. That's a real non-9-to-5 answer, isn't it? Like, what are you doing for money? My husband. What are you doing for money?
I have to freeze my embryos, so that'll be fun. I'm sure it'll be a nightmare for Akash with all these hormones. So basically, it's so we can have kids when we want. We don't have to do it right now. But it's like kind of the first step in IVF, and then you can do the implant like whenever you want. But it's like good at securing the health and vitality of your eggs/embryos. Career-wise,
What she said about freezing her eggs, that is information. If she said on a podcast, people would sit down and be like, tell me more. I want to know about your guys' relationship. I want to know about the idea of still living your own life and not being bound by the biology and stuff like that. I'm very interested. I'm actually so sad that we didn't get this version of Jasleen, because it doesn't seem like she's not smart. It just seems like she's very abrasive.
Please don't divorce me because my credit score is fucked up too and it would leave me in a really bad position.
I did watch a lot of these episodes and a lot of it's just shit talking. And if that's what she wants to do, so be it. But like, that was the one moment in this podcast my ears pricked up and I was like, oh, okay, that's an interesting dilemma and topic to talk about. That seems like something a lot of people would want some clarity on. And then she goes right back to being normal.
I love my brown girl community, but I don't want to be pigeonholed into just like South Asian girls. Like I want to be for all kinds of brown girls. And I want my content to reach the masses and just be a household name in that space and kind of be like the luxury brown comedy wag girl.
Luxury comedy brown wag girl. There is definitely, that's a niche if ever I've heard that. That is a niche. That's a small niche. Good. You got to start somewhere.
And then eventually, like, hopefully maybe have like a skincare or clothing line or something like that.
I see it for you. I see it for you. I really think that you had to go through all of this to graduate. Like, as I'm watching this go by, I'm like, yo, this is, I think even like Zarifa like commented on that, right? She's like, yo, this is going to be your output out of this, right?
Yeah.
The interview basically ends with the interviewer glazing her ass cheeks one more time, saying he sees all of that for her. And we know the brown oracle over here, if he sees it, it does not happen because this dude is blind. But he also says this is her way out back into the public graces of people's mind. And I actually personally would have pulled a Ned Fulmer on this, waited a little longer, so people were like, Jaseline Singh, I don't know what that is. I think maybe a bit longer because some people are picking up on this. So I'm not sure how this is going to go. Hey, I always wish everyone the best. I hope it goes well. It's not like she did something wrong besides her husband. But him, I find him hypocritical of relationships. And that's really my only personal beef. If she wants to buy Birkin bags and he can afford it, so be it. You know what I mean?
Just saying, appreciate you doing this.
Thank you so much.
I enjoyed this heavily.
Thank you, likewise.
Absolutely. Yo, thank y'all for listening. Peace.
I just want to read some of the comments because I feel like Abba and Preach actually were the first people to comment on that. Ooh, 2,000 dislikes. Oh, yeah, Abba and Preach said, congrats, you broke the internet. Here's me contributing to your $3 of AdSense. Beautiful. Humiliation part 2. Break the internet? The internet has to care first. She's not gonna let you hit, little bro. The comments section more poppin' than Jasleen and the white boy frats. Who is this Akash nephew? Oh, man. You try, don't you? Mission failed. We'll get him next time. Let's see if she gets back on the podcast, gets back on the horse. Who knows what's gonna happen? I guess if anything really does, I'll tell you guys, but this was Jasleen Singh's attempt to come back and be in the good graces of humanity. And maybe she chose the wrong guy to interview her, but things didn't go as well as they should have. Thanks for watching. I know it's a bit of a long one, but I'll see you on the next one. Hopefully we'll be doing some Love is Blind or something next. All right, take care.